here goes. I want to talk about CHegg, and I want to do it with a perspective for the student. But first, I'm going to talk about, in my 27 years of teaching, by the way, that's what I do during the day, not making goofy videos. I like doing goofy videos. This one's not going to be goofy. I always feel like in my last 27 years, I've always thought when private enterprise gets its business into higher education too much, it's always bad for the end user, which is the student, not me. So here's the thing about CHegg. I went and because the big publishing companies drive the prices of textbooks up so much, I used to like CHegg because they were the first kind of wave of companies that let students rent books. What? The first of the 3-year cycle edition? I got stuck with having to buy a $300 textbook. No, CHegg would let you rent it for $60 and send it back, and that would shield some costs from the student. Love CHegg. Love them then. Now there's CHegg Study. Fast forward a few more years, or back 7 years, I should say. I wrote a lab text. I wrote 2 lab textbooks. And one of my more ethical students kind of curbsided me and said, hey, a lot of the answers to the pre and post lab questions and the calculations are all on CHegg. So I take a mental note. And then this winter, I buy a subscription to CHegg Study, and I do some snooping around. And I find that there's hundreds of solutions to my problems that I wrote, and these are graded assignments. So I go into CHegg and I flag them. I hit a little flag, and I type inappropriate. You know, there's a little drop-down menu. Inappropriate, I put down this is ethically dishonest, it's academic dishonesty, it subjects students to being accused of academic dishonesty. And here's what happened. Nothing. So I do a little more snooping around, and then I find out there's this CHegg honor code request. And here's what I got to do. I got to fill out a form, which I'll put the link in the description below because I'm still filling out those forms. I got to give them a URL, the web address of every assignment. There's hundreds that is up there that has a solution to it where students can just mindlessly copy it and submit it as their own. So the form only lets you do 5 URLs unless you give them a CSV file, which means you need a frickin' degree in IT in order to put that together. I don't know how the hell to do that. So I go and I submit all these URLs, and they want me to submit a letter requesting it on letterhead. And at first I'm like, yes, because after 3 to 4 business days, they take down the assignment and they give you the data of which username requested that particular question. And they block out the date, like that's some sort of weird, thing that is some sort of privacy thing. So then I do another one. I do a bunch of others, and they say, well, that needs a date in the letter. So apparently the person in the cubicle that day wanted me to attach a date to the letter on letterhead, and here's what they wanted after that. A signature from my dean? Now, if you're not very familiar with higher education, here's how it works. You got plebs like me that work for a chairperson in a department. And then there's a bunch of chairs in departments that have people under them that report to a dean. So a dean at any time has hundreds of people teaching courses under him or her, and they want a signed letter from. Do you know how hard that is? What a big ask that is? That for every assignment, I got to get a dated letter signed by my dean. You realize they do have a little bit of a vested interest in my content staying up there so they can keep making the coin. And so, yeah, you know what? CHegg might break me at this, but here's what I can do. I can write my own stuff. I wrote questions. I can write more questions. Now all the ones up on Chegg will be bullshit. And that's where Chegg doesn't give a shit about what the students think or do. They don't care about that. They want their $15 every month for Chegg Study. Chegg is a publicly traded for-profit company, and their stock price doubled during this pandemic. So my warning to the student is be careful what you do when you go look on Chegg there, because a lot of us know what's going on. And by the way, a lot of it up there ain't correct. And so when you see stuff like, oh, that's not the data from the lab that we did, that's some other data, you're really actually making a red flag for yourself and subjecting yourself to being accused of dishonesty. Now, as far as Chegg, I kind of get what you're doing. It's the Wild West. This online virtual education, it's the Wild West, it's a money grab. I get what you're doing. But to that person who keeps shooting back my request saying they want a date on every single letter and they want a signature from my dean, I hope when you leave your cubicle for your 45-minute walk around the office break, you step on a Lego and it's coated with poop. So that's what I think about Chegg. Okay.